Welcome to the Functional Health Coaching Show, where we are here to support and answer your questions so that you can help people on a deeper level get real results and grow your health coaching business. Do you have questions you want to ask live on the show? You can call in every Friday at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 1-347-637-1378. Are you looking to increase your credibility and grow your health coaching business using functional lab testing and data-driven protocols so that you can confidently solve health issues? Well, we have the course for you. Go to fdn.today/show to learn more and sign up today. Okay, let's join today's episode.
Well, we say happy Friday to you guys once again. You're listening to the FDN Fantastic Friday Call, otherwise known as the Functional Health Coaching Show. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Mollet, and I've got my co-host Ryan Monahan with me here today, and we're going to be answering some questions for you. This is a pretty long-standing tradition within FDN, and I wanted to mention this because I've noticed we've had a lot of new people sign up for the course and come on in the past couple months here, which is awesome. So we want to welcome you guys there to maybe the call here, the first time you've listened, or just getting into the materials. Excited to see a lot of you guys making the decision to become an FDN practitioner and go through that. So because of those awesome numbers and new folks coming in there, I wanted to give a little bit of a background here of this show. You know, this show has been going on for a long time. We call it the Friday Call because it used to be just kind of like a conference call, and everybody would just jump on and kind of be on the line listening and talking. And it's been around since about 2008, 2009, right in the beginning of FDN. So honored to get to help carry on that tradition of this call. And it's a fantastic call, and it's on Friday, but it's also majorly a support call. So you're welcome to call in to the show, write in questions, post things on Facebook, or call in and ask questions. We want to help you out. So whatever you're doing, if you are in the course right now, if you have questions about things you're learning, things you're getting into there, we're happy to answer questions on that. If it comes to some business questions or sales questions or things like that as well. If you're a graduate of the course, you're in business there and you have some questions about a case or something to do with business or whatever, nothing really is off limits as far as that goes. Or if you're one of those people that have not quite took the plunge and looking at the course, hopefully this call will give you a feel for what we're about, what we do, how we work, how we think. So regardless of where you're at in this whole journey here, thanks for tuning in and being part of it. It's December 4th, 2020, so we've got another few weeks, and then we're all into 2021. So it's been an interesting year for everybody, as we know, and it's kind of left unsaid there. But it's been good in FDN land, hopefully good with your business, right? So course is going well. People want to improve their health regardless of what's going on. I think one of the best things we can do is to be healthy. A lot of things in this world want us to be unhealthy, and it's very easy to be unhealthy. So I see it as a duty for us to keep healthy, and I think a lot of people see that as well and share that goal there. So it's been good for the course. I know Ryan's been super busy with his practice, and me too. A lot of other practitioners there setting records on the number of labs that we're running and the clients that we're seeing. So it's a very good time to be an FDN practitioner, to be doing this work. People were in high demand, which is great, and it's not just because, hey, yeah, that puts food on the table and pays the bills, but hopefully it's something deeper than that, and it's fulfilling a call or mission in your life, and you have hopefully a fulfilling life. There's not many days where I don't feel that way, like, wow, I'm so thankful to get to do what I get to do, where it's a living, but also just a satisfaction of seeing people's health restored and through that process and what they learn about themselves. So I know Ryan feels the same way I do on that, but hopefully that's where it's been for you guys. And if not, then things can always change, and you can help be part of that too. So maybe you need to make some adjustments in your thinking or the way you're doing things, and so we're here to help you with that. So if you're kind of feeling stuck in some way, we'll give you our wisdom, help you out as much as we can. So again, thanks for tuning in on this December 4th, 2020. Number to call in to ask a question or to make a comment. You can do either one. We don't mind you adding to the conversation. Ryan and I don't know everything, and so we'd love to hear from you guys too. Number to do that is 347-637-1378. Again, 347-637-1378. 888-888-1378 and just hit 1 on the keypad. That'll notify me that you want to come on, and I'll probably call it your area code, simplest thing I can do. And then I'll get your name, and you can ask a question or, again, make a comment. So good stuff. Well, I don't want to be rude. I'll address my co-host here. So, Ryan, man, how are you?
I'm doing great. Happy Friday. Thanks for asking. Glad to be here and serving our FDN community.
Mm-hmm. And you do a lot of that. You're all over the place. So if you want to read what Ryan has to say or listen to him or see him, you've got all those options. So he's out there supporting you guys in a major way, probably more hours logged than I do. So we're thankful for you and for your contribution and sharing your knowledge and continuing to learn and to share that. I think it's what it's all about, right? We're all working together. What are we observing? What are we seeing? What's working? We're trying to make each other better. Definitely, I love this about our community. It's not a competition at all. We're not chasing after the same 500 clients. There's many people that need our help more than what we can actually handle with our group, and our goal is to help each other be better. And so we share information very readily, very easily, and we don't really have any secrets that we have. We just let them all out, and everybody benefits and grows that way because we want the people we're working with to be healthier. The world, I believe, is being healthier, but that's good for FDN, right? So representing organization, we want FDN practitioners to be like, oh, yeah, I went to an FDN, I had great results. And FDN saying, hey, I'm really happy with the work I'm doing. I can pay the bills, and I enjoy what I get to do. So it's not just graduates. I've said this a lot of times before, and Reed says this too. It's not just graduates that we want from the course. That's great. Say, hey, we've got 5,000 people that have graduated the course, whatever the number is now, but we want you to be out there successful in what you're doing. If that's using the course for your family or your friends and just helping your loved ones with that, we want you to see results with whatever you're doing there. If you're going to be a part-time business, you're going to grow your business to a big level, be a full-time situation there, full-time practice. We want to help you to do that. So that's the real measure of FDN, what we're doing, and the reach and the mission. Is it being duplicated? Are people getting better, and lots of people getting better, and more people coming in and being part of this and learning how to do this? That's the bigger thing and the force that we're part of. Well, great.
Beautiful.
So, just feeling good. I've had some good sessions this week with personal clients, and big changes happening, good things shifting, and I don't know why it just surprised me, but it's kind of like, oh, all right, awesome, great. So you've lost 10 pounds.
It's always a good
in
feeling.
2 weeks, and
yeah,
it's good. It is really good.
Yeah. It's those results, too, that keep us going and keep us motivated as practitioners. Going out there doing that good work, helping people see real results, really. And ultimately they're helping themselves, too. We're just there as kind of a guide. That's what coaches do. They help to motivate. They help to help clients to reveal their own healing opportunities, and we help kind of create a path for them. But, ultimately they do the work. So, I always make it a point to give my clients credit where credit is due, and congratulate them and encourage them, and continue to support them that way as well.
Exactly.
So yeah,
exactly.
Always fun to see those good results. Yes.
Because I don't have many clients that stay with me for more than 6 months or 9 months. So they eventually have got to fly the nest. So you're trying to teach them what they need to do for their body, which is always unique to each person, and they have to do it on their own eventually. You can't. It's good to have that accountability that comes with the coach. It's a cool thing, but eventually they've got to fly the nest and do it themselves. And our goal is to get people to live a healthier lifestyle. That is really the goal, because it's what you do every single day and what you do real often that makes the biggest difference, not what you do here and there. And so those behavioral changes, that way of life, that just yields more and more health and more satisfaction in life. Well said. All right. So, yeah. All right. Well, hey, we've got a few people to congratulate here this week. We do this every week. Fortunately, we get to do this every week. Is congratulate people who have graduated the course, become certified as practitioners, and we definitely want to acknowledge that. And as I've said in many verbal final sessions, that if you graduate in 2020, that's a pretty remarkable feat. But beyond just graduating the course, I'm sure you had some obstacles to overcome this year. A lot of people have, so I get to hear those stories and the culmination of all that work and effort and passion coming into that. I think that one session there at the end of the verbal final. So it's something to acknowledge. Maybe some of you guys had a little more time to work on the course. A lot of you guys have taken some of the advantage of some of that maybe extra time that you had, or maybe a shift in priorities, or something changed where you're able to spend more time focusing on the course, and maybe you move through a little more quickly than you would have. So regardless, you've achieved that. It's to be acknowledged, and we're excited for the future for these folks. So we've got 7 here. This is for the last 2 weeks. We didn't have a call last week due to Thanksgiving, so we've had the last couple weeks here. We have 7 to congratulate, and looks like we're all over the world again today here, which is pretty cool. So first of all, to congratulate, have Peggy Britton from Texas, and then Christina Dimick from Florida, and then Carolina Kavastad. Sorry, Carolina, if I messed that up there. California. And then Jennifer Iberly from Illinois, Catherine Jenkins from Moscow, and that's Idaho, so Moscow, Idaho, Kimberly Klein from Overland, Kansas, and then finally, way across the other side of the world there, we've got from Australia, Tanil Mitchell. So awesome stuff. Major congratulations, guys. Great job. See, even people in Australia need FDN support and help. I was just talking to Tanil this week, and their situation has been different than what's been in the U.S. as far as lockdown goes, and they've had a lot more restriction than what I know here, 8 months. And so people are coming out of this here just recently, and they've gained a lot of weight, and they've eaten a lot of junk food, and they've consumed a lot of alcohol, and a lot of things are coming out of this. So people are definitely in need of FDN practitioners in Australia to help them, and personal trainers, and hair salon, all sorts of things, all the things you need, all those self-care things. And so being in the self-care business in Australia is probably a really good thing right now. So, and Tanil's going to bring those things together and what she already does with the salon that she has, and then bring FDN into that. So very cool. Okay, well, we've got some questions we can answer here. I've actually got some hands raised already, but real quick, Ryan, anything you wanted to add as far as on the AFDNP side, or anything you think I'm forgetting?
You always do such a good job, Brandon. I don't have much to add to that. I'm excited to be back on the call after a Thanksgiving break and to jump into some questions. So if there's some hands raised, let's do it to it.
Sounds good. All right, so 619 area code. That may be a California area code. I can't recall, but 619. What's your name? What's your question?
Yeah, my name's Danielle Patterson.
Hi, Danielle.
And can you hear me?
You sure can. Yeah, you're good. Coming through clear.
Okay. So I am on Module 7 right now and learning about the IgG and MRT tests. My daughter has gone through the IgG test a couple of times now. We actually ended up having a really bad mold exposure, like the black mold, the bad guy, and went from just her being totally thriving, all of us totally thriving, to really, gnarly food allergies and everything that goes along with mold. But anyhow, I was just wondering, it seems like we're kind of chasing her food allergies. Like, she's got allergic to or high on the chart for oats and something else. And it's always like what she's eating a lot of. And I just wonder, is that, even when we retested, it's been like, okay, I switched up her diet and I'm doing the rotation every 3 or 4 days. And then, even rotating those foods, that next test she'll be, showing up sensitive to those foods that we've now rotated in. So is that ever pinpointing to can you make a correlation with that being possibly leaky gut for her? Because it seems like the antibodies would form if they're ending up where that food is ending up where it shouldn't be. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
How old is she?
She's 5. So that was going to be my next question is like, would you run, should I look at, I'm a trainee at this point. So I did just talk to, I forget the name of the laboratory that you can order the MRT, but I did talk to them about being able to order one for her as well. And I might go that route at this point, but I did kind of just want to get your feedback on, because I don't think she'd have a problem. Like, obviously no kid or adult loves to be poked, but I find to draw blood with her. So I'm just wondering if maybe I should go that route, because what's really the difference? Like, does the MRT kind of show more so what she's genetically predisposed to being allergic to, or, how does that correlate? Because I understand that the IgG really relates to whether they are eating that actual food at that time.
Yeah. Okay.
I have some. Go ahead.
Ron, you want to jump on that?
Sorry, you guys.
Got lots of thoughts too. Go for it. We're chomping at the bit. Go ahead, Ryan.
I'm sure we'll both have some insights to add. So, to answer your latter question there, food sensitivities are dynamic. So they're not necessarily genetic, although there certainly could be genetic components. But, you can run food sensitivities every 6 months, and they could be totally different depending on what you're eating in your diet at that time. And if you're in kind of like long story short, if you're seeing a situation where you're running food sensitivity test after food sensitivity test and you're kind of chasing them, those food sensitivities, as you mentioned, you're sort of chasing them. And every time you run the test, maybe they're kind of entirely different or mostly different. To me, I think that can be reflective of a chronic leaky gut issue, especially if she was exposed to the mold herself. There may be some kind of, mold colonization component to it that's causing some immune dysregulation and leaky gut. And in that case, you could make an argument that the food sensitivities are a symptom of a dysregulated gut, not the cause of it, right? So it's kind of like what you're getting at, if I'm reading between the lines, is a little bit of a chicken and an egg question. And, sometimes it can work both ways. So, food sensitivities can perpetuate the inflammation that's contributing to leaky gut. And then at the same time, you can have a situation where there's, say, pathogens in the gut or gluten exposure or toxin exposure, like to mold, say, for example, and that's driving or perpetuating the intestinal permeability. And then that is leading to more food sensitivities through the mechanism that you have these undigested food proteins leaking through the gut lining, through the mucosal barrier, right? And then those undigested food proteins are getting into a place where they don't belong, which is essentially in your bloodstream, right? So This is something that it's not entirely uncommon to see a situation where you see the food sensitivities that are showing up the most are the ones that the foods that you're eating the most, right? And that would make sense. Because those proteins are
crossing the barrier if she has leaky gut, and therefore the immune system is reactive to them because they're in the wrong spot. Right.
Exactly. And especially if you combine that with just poor digestion to begin with, like let's say there's pancreatic insufficiency or low stomach acid, and you're not fully breaking down those foods, the digestion is a huge component because, it's primarily these undigested food proteins that the immune system is reacting to. But if they're fully broken down, that can help minimize food sensitivities. So
that actually brings me to another question.
Yeah.
You wouldn't mind? Yeah. So for me personally, like taking some betaine HCl or whatever was a game changer. Like it just changed my digestion completely and digestive enzymes. Is there anything like it would be? Do they make a supplement that kids can take with that? Or I know they recommend like apple cider vinegar too to help along those lines. But have you guys had any luck with how to kind of increase that for kids, and maybe that comes later down the course. But just curious.
With super young kids that age, around 5, I'm typically more inclined to use digestive enzymes at a much lower dose.
Okay.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Brandon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would be great because overall arching thing here, I would say, is that the system that you're putting the foods into is more of the problem. So it really maybe doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt to run food sensitivity tests and make some changes. It's not something you're doing wrong. It's just it has to go deeper. So anything you can do that you can find out, you can determine that would support that system is really where the focus needs to be. So if that is enzymes, yes. I'd say that would be a fine thing to do. I've used different chewable enzymes. There's several different ones out there that are good. Or sometimes you can open them up, put them actually in the food, a little bite of something there. You do it that way. Those seem to do pretty good. I agree with Ryan on that. I'd probably want to see a stool test before I went with hydrochloric acid or went down that route with the child. That's probably your next step to do, I think, would be doing some stool testing. So, that'd be encouragement to move through the courses as quickly as you can. But stool testing would be important. The MRT, just talking about that, there's several different ways you can test for food sensitivities, and they all have validity and they're all beneficial. So any information you receive from any kind of food test, I think is great information. It's fine. Will running an MRT at this point be saving grace and fix everything? I don't think so. Would it give you a little different perspective on the body's reaction to certain foods? It probably would. Like if you've run multiple IgG tests, I probably would switch up if you're going to run another one. If you've already decided you're going to go ahead and run another food test, I would go with an MRT. Take a look and see how that test is measuring. It's different than an IgG. An IgG is going to be more of a delayed response that's going to be, you're going to have to be eating that food to elicit that IgG reaction. So with the MRT, it's sort of come as you are. You don't have to do any kind of challenge, eat like that. It picks up sort of an end product immune response, like as you know, you found out in the course there. So it's a little different way of looking at it. Again, all very beneficial information. So, would that be part of it? I'd say it's something where if you're having some major reactions right now, I'd say let's run a food test sooner rather than later. If you're about status quo, about where it's at right now, well, I'd maybe run the food sensitivity test along with the stool test, and then take a look at that information there, see what it tells you, and do that's the beauty of FDN really, is that we're hitting a problem or malfunction or metabolic chaos from multiple angles. It's not the only tool we have as a food sensitivity test or enzymes. We've got so many different angles, especially with children, to address things.
Right.
So hitting it from multiple angles is really going to be where you're going to gain the most.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, I did order the RT test for myself, so I was thinking, when Mommy goes and gets pricked, she could come along and maybe we could get our nails done after or something as a reward.
Right. Make it something fun. Yeah, I've had even a 2-year-old to draw before. So it just kind of depends on the child, how they respond to it. Usually I like them to be maybe in the 4 or 5 range there. That seems to go a little easier for the draw. Depends on the phlebotomist there, but there is an option too. If you cannot get enough, the 4 vials for the MRT 170, then there is an MRT even like an 80. It has 80 foods on there, which sometimes for children, lesser blood draw is less traumatic and less from their system. But also sometimes those 100 other, whatever is 60 foods, whatever, there aren't ones they're really eating very often. So you could look and see if I think it's the MRT 80, I believe. For children, they don't always have quite the variety of a diet that an adult has. So that's another option too. And it is kind of like the only little loophole as far as testing goes, is that at Oxford there, as a trainee, you can access another test beyond your own to do. And so that would probably be a good person to use it with.
So if I contact Oxford, they would be willing to send that test kit. That's another one that we have access to as a trainee, you're saying? Yes. So reach out to them. Usually they send 2 kits. I think all it is a different requisition form, and maybe 2 less vials. I can't remember the last one that I did like that.
But I would check into that. They're good about talking to the FDN trainees, and that might be simpler. But if they're, if she does fine with this 170, you go ahead and get all the foods and look at all those different chemicals and things like that that's on that lab. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was going to say, just for people listening in, when we lived in a house that had it for 8 months, so it was, a long time for the exposure, and I had symptoms that were just crazy. I mean, they thought I might have Parkinson's because I had a tremor and all this stuff going on. My son had a cough for 8 months, and not to, downplay Western medicine, but they're like, oh, it's probably just a residual cold. And anyways, but I will say I did have to have her pricked a couple times when she was younger. And man, I don't give my kids like a lot of sweets at all, but I just busted out a little thing of like fruit snacks or gummy bears at the time. And the two of them had to be, blood drawn when they were young. And they're even starting at 1.5 years for my son. And neither one cried because they saw the candy and only focused on it while it was going on. So, and then the other thing is I had a little show playing on my phone. So I just, for other parents listening in or practitioners, they might, make that suggestion to people because it really worked well. Neither one of my kids has ever cried getting poked because I just have those distractions on hand.
Perfect. Use all the techniques. That's fine. That definitely the good and the benefit of that testing information is going to outweigh any kind of negative effect of a treat. Yeah. That's for sure.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that was helpful. Yeah. That was where my gut was going with it, and hopefully it'll work out for me to do an MRT on her just to get a little different perspective on it.
Yep.
Okay. Thank
Moms
you guys
know
very
to
much.
go with that intuition there. Mm-hmm. You're welcome. All right. We'll keep going. You'll
Thanks.
good luck along the course, and that'll help out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. I'm looking
Danielle.
forward to it. Yep. Yeah. See you guys.
Cool.
Thanks,
awesome.
Danielle.
All right.
Yeah. I lived through a mold disaster. If and some of you who listen regularly may already know that, but I don't wish that on anybody. It's a pretty disastrous thing to have to go through. So I empathize with her situation there, even if it was a shorter period of time.
Yeah, indeed. It's something you guys need to have in your mind as practitioners. Is this something, where we do a good job with that as far as FDN goes? Being a practitioner, we're looking at multiple angles, different things, different possibilities. Nothing is ruled out as a possibility. Everything's possible in the beginning, right? As you go through the process, you will rule things out. You'll be checking for things, looking for things, rule things out, and get down to those as much as you can, root causes of that malfunction. So it's a process of narrowing that down, and then so it's somewhat of a narrowing view, a more specific view, but at the same time it's also a general view as well. So you're doing all the basic things there. So, and that combination, it's amazing how it works. You just get such good results. And so thanks, Danielle, for the call there. And yeah, continue to learn. And it sounds like that some of your first clients really already have been, will be family. And that's great. We're glad to be able to help. All right. Well, hey, we got another hand raised here. Mm-hmm. So 510 area code, 510 area code. Who's this?
Hey, guys. This is Joe Phillips. How are you?
Well, hey, Joe.
Man,
good to hear from you.
How are things? You too.
Going good. Going good. Yeah.
Doing all right.
How have you been?
Good. Things are good. And the reason I'm calling in is I have a more complex case, and I'm looking for some insight in how I can look maybe further upstream or what I may be missing with this particular client.
Okay. Let's go for it then.
Sure.
What you got?
Okay, well, she is a Hashimoto's, immune-compromised patient. The last 4 years, her TSH has been high, averaging 5.2 from 2014 to current. She had her thyroid removed, and so she's on some meds for that. But what's really my problem, she's on birth control as well, and she has a little bit of depression, so she's on another med for that, is that I'm having trouble controlling her blood sugar levels. I've been working with her for a while. We've cleaned up her diet. She's a chef. She enjoys eating food and alcohol and entertaining. but we have her basically on a low-carb paleo diet. She was doing, or is still kind of doing, I shouldn't say kind of, she is doing a intermittent fasting type of diet, and I'm not sure it may be serving her well for the blood sugar levels, because I've been taking her temperature or having her take her temperature regularly using the glucometer for her blood sugars, but her blood sugar levels are still pretty high, and she will fast until about noon and have lunch and not do breakfast. And I was kind of wondering about her gut, so we started talking about adding some apple cider vinegar in, see how that's going to maybe help with potential digestion, because I even separated when she takes her meds so that she can break those down. They won't interact with each other. And man, her blood sugar levels, it's been as high as 125 in the morning, not all the time. And I've been trying to correlate with her diet. She sends me a log, pictures of the food she's eating, and she is sensitive, because when I see her eat a little bit of rice, her blood sugar levels will deviate. And the same with if she has some potatoes and stuff like that. So I'm really I've been pulling out all the stops, but I'm still having trouble. I've been really trying to go through everything, you know. We've been doing D.R.E.S.S, and that's been working pretty good.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, Joe, yeah. Good work, you know, in doing all that good investigative work and helping her implement D.R.E.S.S and being willing to continue the investigation. And that's really what it's all about ultimately is not giving up, and, you know, being a good health detective means sometimes continuing that journey until you find all those right puzzle pieces to help someone optimize their health. So a couple of quick clarifying questions. You said she had her thyroid removed, and currently her TSH has been hovering around above a 5?
For the last 4 years. I mean, I had her send me over the medical records yesterday, and I was looking at it, and it averages for the last, from 2016 to October, end of October, it averaged with all of at 5.2. Okay.
So I work with a lot of thyroid clients, and I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's myself back in 2012. So that's kind of my area of expertise. That's the primary niche that I work with clients. So what I can tell you about TSH specifically is that in terms of an optimal range, you're looking between about 0.5 to 2.0. So she's quite above that optimal range. And this is not really quite FDN territory. This is definitely more of the domain of an endocrinologist. But it sounds like she is not even close to having her thyroid medication optimized. That if her TSH is at a 5.0, that she needs to talk to her doctor about increasing her dose of Synthroid or Armor or whatever she's taking. Because in terms of her blood sugar, you cannot really balance blood sugar until someone gets their thyroid leveled out. It's going to be really hard. Your thyroid is essentially the master regulatory gland for your entire metabolism. So given that her TSH is perpetually elevated, she's probably in this constant state of being hypoglycemic, and then the body tries to compensate by raising blood sugar, and then she goes hyperglycemic, and she's probably on this blood sugar roller coaster ride, if I had to guess, without having all the information. But honestly, that's like the very first thing I would do. And actually, Brandon, I know you were there too. Sorry, go ahead.
Interrupt for a second.
Sorry, repeat
I messed up big time. I read the wrong line, and I put it in my notes the wrong way. Her TSH, sorry. Her TSH is 2.32. What the hemoglobin A1C, is average 5.2. That's what it was. I mixed up those numbers. Totally screwed that up. Sorry.
No worries. If their TSH is a 2.3, that's really not bad. It probably could be better. I would say that, like, I like to see the sweet spot at like a 1.5 as like a perfect, if that even is possible, right? That it is a dynamic marker. It can even fluctuate throughout the day. But that could be better. And it's, the hemoglobin A1C, so long as it's not above like a 5.6%, that's really not that bad either. So
that's what I was to say. Go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing I might think of, well, I guess let me take a step back. Like, have you run all of the foundational labs? Have you run a GI map? Have you run a food sensitivity test? Have you run an HTMA?
So let me answer those questions. So to get her started, we started off because she was like, I don't know about the lab. So I was like, well, we need to do a GI map or HTMA and then food sensitivity. So since she's a foodie, she authorized the food sensitivity test. So we did that. So,
okay.
First one we did. So that helped us figuring out some foods, and she got on board with that. And that also helped us then get her really doing more paleo. Mm-hmm. But now I've got to get her to do the GI map and the HTMA.
Yeah, that's my thought. I mean, is you really need all of the, some foundational information to work with and to really work in that D.R.E.S model and trust in that FDN, D.R.E.S process, because there very likely could be some other hidden stressors that are contributing to her blood sugar dysregulation that might go beyond, dieting her way out of that or doing intermittent fasting. So, even if we go back to the topic of the thyroid, if you look at thyroid dysfunction, you could even look at thyroid dysfunction itself as a symptom of something deeper, right? So that's where, like, as FDNs, if a client has a thyroid problem, we don't treat thyroid problems. We want to look at the underlying metabolic chaos and the hidden stressors in the body that are contributing to dysregulation and contributing to thyroid dysregulation, right? So exactly. This is where it's so important to think about being a generalist and addressing the entire body non-specifically, because it's hard to give a much more pinpointed information without seeing if she has parasites or if she's got severe mineral imbalances. Maybe there's some heavy metals that show up on the HTMA. So hopefully you can kind of continue to kind of go down that journey with her and work those other labs in there to help her out. There are some supplements that can help with blood sugar dysregulation, but again, if you're not working that whole model, that whole process, you might not get as far, right? She could just be kind of beating her head against the wall. And honestly, that's where if she's been at this for, I think you said like a couple years or so, and is still having these issues. This is where the FDN process can really help someone to end that cycle of trial and error if they just make the investment, right? Could save themselves a lot of time and wasted energy.
Well, that's where I think I just got to convince her and do the pitch like you guys say about investigative, process. That if you don't give me all the clues, we might not be able to figure out what's going on. And these are the tools I need to find the clues to help the case. Because the other thing I forgot to mention is the postpartum. She had a couple of bouts of that as well that's really wreaked havoc on her.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And like you said, I'm not looking for... Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, so it's not like a lack of effort in this case, but for either one of you, her or you as a practitioner there, I think it's just a lack of information. So if you're not doing everything you know to do and it's not working, we've got to have some more information, and it just makes logical sense. So we just don't have enough information to be able to take all that effort and energy and put it right toward what it needs to be. So I think it's a logical next step is complete lab testing for her.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I'm not looking for an answer per se of or I'm not trying to treat Hashimoto's and just throwing that out there as another clue. Because like we said, we're generalists, and I'm just looking to the whole body. I'm not trying to say, oh, you should take this for that at all. I'm just playing detective, trying to figure out how to get the system back to homeostasis.
Exactly.
Sure.
You got the principles down well for sure, Joe. You've been around for a long time doing this. So, I think just keep looking for those hidden stressors and those healing opportunities with lab testing is the next step. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see what comes up.
Okay.
On those labs, it'll be a fun session.
Right. So if she is only willing to do one at a time, which one should I promote first, do you think?
I don't like that question. That's a tough question.
That's why
I don't like that one.
I hesitated for the same reason. Like, Brandon, I'm sure you heard Reed say this too. We had a production company meeting earlier this week, and Reed brought this up that, we don't want to get into this business of cherry picking or choosing which labs we run for which client and trying to guess, based on this symptom, I think we should run this lab. That's still kind of a this for that approach, except with lab work instead of supplements, right?
I get it. I'm not saying that at all.
Sure.
I'm just weary that from a financial standpoint, she's going to be like, well, I can only afford to do one right now. And I'm like, okay, it'd be best if we do both.
Yeah.
Joe,
Joe would say that Ryan, neither one of us are that good to pick out one, for sure.
Yeah, right. And, that's where you may have to do some money mindset coaching with her, too. Like I had said just a moment ago, it's likely going to be more costly for her to keep guessing what's going on. I would argue that, say, about $1,000 for a handful of labs. In the grand scheme of things, most people can find a way to make that work, even if it means putting it on a credit card, working, borrowing the money from friends or family, whatever you got to do. But I know in my own case, I would have saved myself tens of thousands of dollars in all of the years that I did hopping around between doctors and specialists because I wasn't getting the right information. Right, so that the $1,000 or so I spent on foundational labs was a drop in the barrel compared to what I had spent before discovering FDN.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, she wants to feel better and have her weight be more in check. She's probably 50 pounds overweight.
Well, that too. Yeah, she's got a lot of reasons for that. It sounds like she's got some children. So, I go back to that side of things. So go back to those motivations. Why do you want to be healthy?
Yeah,
it'd be great to lose 50 pounds and look better in the mirror. But there's maybe some bigger things here that are at stake. I'd say if she's already lost the thyroid, that's a cascade and a negative momentum I wouldn't want to have. And so I'd want to pull out all the stops and everything I can. So you could talk to that. And you also talk to productivity. So how is her health costing her money and time and enjoyment in life currently? So if you say let's do it one lab at a time, I just say, well, how fast do you want this thing figured out? How much longer do you want to do this? Most people want answers and solutions yesterday. So that's I think that's the next place to go is that money mindset. Just like Ryan's saying there, talk about some of those things with her. And I think it'll be very clear. And if it's not clear to her, okay, that's her choice. That's her will, her right to do what she wants to do, obviously. But it's also our duty to be really good at explaining why we're saying to do these things. So we should have those conversations. We'd ask those hard questions and be very direct. It could make the difference in somebody's life in a major way.
Yeah. Okay.
It sounds like you already have a good relationship with her, so that's good. There's trust there, which is great.
Okay, I got it, guys. I'll run with it. Thanks for the help and advice.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, good to hear from you, Joe. There, and let us know how it goes. Keep us updated on the case.
Keep you posted.
Great. Terrific.
I've recently been reading some material from Daniel Pink, and he's kind of like a motivational persuasion expert. And it's interesting. He says there's a difference between irritation and agitation. when you're trying to persuade somebody, that, irritation is being salesy and annoying someone and getting on their bad side, whereas agitation is you're being compassionate while you're at the same time helping to try to convince someone to do something for themselves that will actually benefit them, right? So, if that kind of subtle, I feel like that subtle mindset perspective or shift between irritation and agitation can be something that's helpful to keep in mind when you're having these discussions with clients about their money mindset. For example, you're not being irritating when you're telling someone how it's going to benefit them to invest in their health. You might be agitating them, but that's only because it's ultimately going to save them money and time and get them to a better place where they're feeling good about themselves. Their self-esteem increases. They've got more time to be productive, like you had mentioned, Brandon. I know I've mentioned this before too, but when I was at the bottom of my own health journey, I did not have enough energy to be working full time, and that really affected my finances. So it really can be a downward spiral when you're in your own kind of personal health hell.
Or you're just trying to just get through the day, and that's your only goal is to make it through the workday without making a big mistake or losing your job, and try to get to sleep and get up in the morning and do it all over again. To me, that's not living in any way. Maybe the job is there, and a lot of you guys taking the course are looking to make transitions in your career. So if you don't have the health, if you barely make it through the day and just keep and hold down a job, there's not any extra or any kind of resources there or bandwidth to pursue other things. I had a lot of years of that as I was studying natural health and also taking the course where, I had my day job, and then I came home and got to focus on my real passion. And that was really fun. But if I didn't have the health that I built up over time to do that, and definitely one time I did not have that, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So there's a whole lot around this, for sure. And I think if people the timing's right, they're honest with themselves. And you're right, it's not always a comfortable conversation. I like that, irritation and agitation. I like that. That's really good because it's not always sometimes it's an easy flow of conversation. Those onboarding calls are just so easy and natural. It's a nice flow. Other times, there's a little bit of discomfort there, maybe on both sides, because it's something that, we have this weird, I think, level of homeostasis or balance. We get comfortable in where we're at right now. We may want change, but the effort and the uncomfortableness and the challenge, the pain that might have to be endured to get past that sometimes, there's the reservation. So that's a growth thing. So I think once you make that step and start to do those things, decisions for your health and for self-care become easier. I know it has, for us, some of those first things we did, there was some hesitation there, but once you see those things working, you start to build that motivation, you move forward, and you become a changed person in the way that you approach life, and some of those hesitations aren't there so much. I think it comes with age, too, a little bit, but it's cool to talk down the psychology side of health, because that's a big part of it.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Daniel Pink. Yep. Okay, that's a good one then.
Yeah, Daniel Pink. Check him out. He's got 3 or 4 books out on Amazon, and a bunch of them are bestsellers. He's got some really good stuff.
Very good. Mm-hmm. That's something I would say to you guys often out there. I do during a lot of times verbal finals, sessions like that. Yes, continue to study and learn. Focus on learning some new labs or some other things to be thinking about, and improve your knowledge as far as the science goes. But at some point, you're probably going to be pretty good at those things, right? And then if you're going to get to practice those things, you have to have people to practice them with, people to work on. You have to have clients. So as much as you're spending time reading studies and reviews and getting into the science side of things, better spend as much time on things like books like that and sales and motivation and psychology. Not only for your growth as a practitioner and a business owner, but to be able to speak to your clients. Though you have somebody that you know that you can help them, but they just won't make the commitment for whatever reason. That's a tough situation to me. And so what do you do with the person there?
That's right. When we're acting here, when we're working as solopreneurs, we're just as much on the business side of things as we are clinicians, and we have to wear a lot of hats: marketing, sales, sharpening our clinical skills. There's a lot that goes into it. So I think it's important to maintain that balance. And when you're Daniel Pink talks about this too. When we're constantly selling. Even when your client signed up for a package. Okay, now when we're talking about the motivational side, that's really all sales psychology in a sense, right? Where we're trying to help someone to motivate them to make change. There's always aspects there of persuasion, right? So you want to think about that. We're sharpening up those skills of persuasion and constantly getting better at that. Because you might have all the clinical knowledge in the world, but if you can't help to motivate or persuade your client, then you might not see the results that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Good couple good cases here. Good things to think through different aspects of different ones. And I think looking at these, a lot of it's coming down to just not enough information in both cases with Danielle and Joe's both. So having enough information there, making sure mindset, motivation is right. A 5-year-old versus a 40-year-old is way, way different. In some ways easier with a 5-year-old, less things to work through, but a few more limitations. Your hands are tied a little bit more in some ways. But with both, you can see great changes. You just have to keep in mind all the different things we're talking about as you're working through it. And, these are all great things. It's reminders for me. I enjoy this Friday call myself because I hear things come out of my mouth that's reminders for me. And, of course, out of Ryan's mouth, and you callers coming in with things. So constantly being connected with FDN, the course, other practitioners, reading those things. We also have to work on our mindset as well. So our self-care mindset, and that includes the mental, emotional side. So making sure you have that. So these Friday calls are great for that. We've got AFDNP calls. We've got training calls, all sorts of things to take advantage of and to dive into. So encourage you guys to take advantage, or if you don't know what's out there and need some help with asking about that, just reach out. Email us, reach out to us on Facebook and say, hey, here's what I'm struggling with. What's some good resources? We're happy to provide those. We want you guys to be successful in what you do. Okay, well, we got about 8 minutes left in the call. So last call for questions, I would say, as far as hands raised. So a lot of you guys out there listening live, thanks for spending an hour with us on your Friday. So hit one on your keypad. If you want to ask a question, now would be the time to do it. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time, and you have to ask them next week. So last call for questions. Otherwise, I'll grab one from the list because we have many of those written in, that's for sure. But we like to prioritize live callers because you've taken the time to be right here and talk to us live, and we like to prioritize you guys. So last call for that. All right. So here's one picked up from the Facebook page here today. I will ask in our remaining few minutes, could you please provide some clarification on whether liver congestion or intestinal permeability, leaky gut, is classified as internal stressors, or that this is not the case as they are the result of external stressors?
Both. Easy.
Go for it then.
I mean, that's that could be all I say about it, because you could keep it that simple. But yeah, without a doubt, like if you were looking at internal stressors, you may be looking at food sensitivities, gut pathogens, gluten. For sure, we know that there's this action of gluten that increases the protein zonulin, which is kind of the gatekeeper for intestinal permeability. So, there's lots of research supporting that gluten can be a top trigger for leaky gut and intestinal permeability. Then, in terms of external stressors, I would say that just plain old mental, emotional, circumstantial, existential stress can break down the gut lining and can cause leaky gut. And that's part of why there's that stress reduction component to the D.R.E.S. model. So, alcohol, I guess, if you're looking at like internal, external, a lot of them are kind of the same because, what is external in terms of what we're bringing into our body is external before it becomes internal, right? Like if you're drinking a lot of alcohol, eating a lot of gluten, right? Those are kind of sort of external sources that become internal sources. So I don't know, semantics, I guess. But toxins in the environment that may be, toxic to the endocrine system. BPA from plastics has been shown to trigger leaky gut, heavy metals. So I would include that entire umbrella of environmental toxins as potential leaky gut triggers too.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit semantics there because there's a lot of bleed over both there. So if this is maybe trying to clarify or maybe answer a question on the written final, maybe it's kind of one of the questions that's there on the written there. You've kind of got a little bit of both there that you can kind of make an argument for either way. I guess the biggest thing is to be able to identify those, have that, like Ryan's listing, that's kind of your checklist, right? That's your checklist of, okay, when I'm thinking about this person and their cleanup of their life, what are the things that they're exposed to they're still doing? And so that's something you're going to work through a program. You're going to have that checklist there and say, okay, we need to look at your cookware, you need to look at your personal care products, you need to look at your water, we need to look at your air quality, you need to look at, containers that you put your food into, what kind of food you're eating, organic or locally grown or pesticide. Quite a list of things we do, but that's the inventory we go through as practitioners, because you never know which one of those is going to be causing the biggest issues for that person. So it's the process we go through, and you get to go that through every single person. That's just kind of a checklist, right? That's where we have a lot of checklists, really, because we're trying to, like I was mentioning earlier, to narrow those things down. What are the biggest things that are causing problems? What are the biggest boulders that we can remove, low-hanging fruit, and then we can address some of the other things as we go. And it works so well. And then once you've made those changes, the old saying there, I think by Paleo Mom, I like to say, is it's only effort until it becomes routine. So, it's a lot of effort in the beginning. You're thinking about a lot of different things you never thought of before, and you're reading labels, and you've got a lot of effort to get through the day because there's more things Ryan's pointed out to you and told you to think about and to do and to work on. So there's a lot of effort. And just like anything else, over time, it just becomes your way of life, becomes your routine, and when it's routine, it's a lot easier. You're kind of on autopilot. It's not a lot of effort for me anymore to brush my teeth. That may have been challenging when I was younger, but you just kind of do it. Taking a shower, not a whole lot to think about, right? So even cooking and eating, making choices on food, it's just automatic what I'm going to pick. I don't have to go look up something or ask somebody. It becomes just part of that. So that's the time. That's why you need time with a person, enough months and enough time to be able to work through those things to hopefully create some really nice habits that they will carry on forever, their life. Because if they go back to the old way of eating and drinking and thinking like they were, then the same problems they had before working with you will just come back, because that is their individual body chemistry, is to manifest and show malfunction in that way. So, Ryan's malfunction in his body showed up in a different way than it did in mine. So it all comes back to those behavioral things, and that's what you're working towards with somebody. So I like to express those things to my clients, like, hey, here's the plan here. Be real honest with them. So when we are into our program here, what's your plan? Who's going to support you? Who's going to keep you accountable? What's your plan moving forward? That's a realistic thing, because I hate to see clients come back a couple of years later, have fallen off the wagon, especially when there wasn't some earth-shattering, life-shattering thing that's caused that. It's just they kind of drifted away and shifted away. I don't like that. I want people to be healthy all the time for a long time. All right. Well, about a minute left, guys. So we're gonna wrap it up here pretty quick. So I think we answered that question pretty well. But so we'll just say, Joe, Danielle, thanks so much for the calls in there and the questions. Let us know how those two go, so you can call back in and let us know. It's always fun to see where that goes. And then to our 7 graduates, great job. Look forward to good things in the future from you guys. And then, of course, Ryan, thanks for being on with me. Great answers and contributing and having an all-around good time today.
Had a good time too, and looking forward to doing it next week.
Sounds good. We'll be there, guys. So everybody enjoy the weekend, and thanks for being on. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.